The making of this film is in the fall of 2007. Next year, we are going to have a presidential election. And some of the candidates whom I respect have proposed that we roll back greenhouse gas emissions to 1990 levels. Now, at first when I heard this sounded like a really good idea. I'm not a scientist. I didn't know the inner workings of global warming. I assumed that if we roll back emissions to 1990 levels, that the temperature would drop down to 1990 levels. And that seemed to me a lot better than what's going on right now. And then I did some research. And I found out that global warming does not work like that. Global warming is a cumulative effect. And it's very important we understand this. The rise in temperatures that we've seen and the climate changes and the changes in ocean currents, the weather events that we've had, are all a result of the accumulation of greenhouse gases that have been accumulating ever since the Industrial Revolution. Hundreds of years. Because global warming is a cumulative effect, rolling back emissions to 1990 levels is not going to accomplish anything. Even if we stopped all greenhouse gas emissions to zero today, we would still experience rising temperatures for many years to come. So where we're at right now and proposing that we roll back emissions to 1990 levels, to me, reminds me of an example I heard of, which is you have a chronic alcoholic who ends up going into the hospital, and the doctors do tests on him, and they come back and they say, listen, your liver is shutting down. You are going to die within a few months, possibly a few weeks. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. And the alcoholic, shocked, says, what do you mean I'm going to die? There's got to be something you can do for me. I'll do anything. What can we do? The doctor says, well, I can't make any guarantees, but one thing for sure is you cannot drink any more alcohol for the rest of your life. The alcoholic thinks about that for a moment and says, well, let's see. Right now I'm drinking a case of beer a day, and well, back in 1990, I only drank 2 six-packs a day, and I felt pretty good back then. If I roll back my alcohol consumption to 1990 levels, will I feel like I did in 1990? And of course, the doctor says, no, that's ridiculous. This is a cumulative effect. You have been drinking alcohol your entire adult life. Your body has been accumulating these poisons, and your organs are no longer capable of filtering out the poisons anymore. If you drink one more drop of alcohol, you are going to die. This is the situation that we're in terms of greenhouse gases. So I want to put out a challenge to the political candidates out there that instead of making these really pointless proposals, why don't we propose something that actually has some value to it? And that is reducing greenhouse gas emissions to zero immediately. Now, before you tell me how impossible and impractical and how extreme that is, let me tell you that I truly understand what it is that I'm proposing. And I think there are 3 major obstacles to achieving this. The first one is convenience, and I'm not belittling that. It's going to be incredibly inconvenient. We've been doing things this way for a long time and using these technologies and these fuels for a long time. It's going to be very inconvenient to change that. I love my Dodge 4x4 8-cylinder pickup. I don't want to give that up. But, you know, what else is there for us to do? So it's going to be inconvenient. Secondly, it's going to be expensive. We're going to have to invest a lot of money into new technologies and new fuels and new infrastructure. And it's completely doable. We already have the technologies. It's just a matter of investing in them and getting them out there. For instance, in the 1990s, we had the electric car experiment. Now, I was in California during that time. Those cars ran really well, and some of them had very long mileage to them before you had to refuel, and it was really inexpensive. It's just the car companies didn't think that it was profitable for them. There are other technologies like wind power and things that I don't know anything about. Alternative fuels. They're already there. They're already being used. We just need to invest in them. That's it. Third, I think our biggest hurdle, and it is a big one, is security. I am well aware that the global currency is petroleum, and that those countries that have a big hand in producing and distributing petroleum have a lot of power in global politics. So I understand what I'm saying when if we stop using petroleum and the value of it starts to decline, the shift that's going to happen across the world is going to be pretty phenomenal. And I understand the concerns and I understand the danger. I understand that if we in the United States stop using petroleum and the value of petroleum here in the United States falls, that opens up a huge vacuum for other countries. But I also know that once we start investing in these technologies and use them, we're going to see how much money we can save and how much we can produce. We can still be the leader in these technologies. It has been my experience in my short life, and certainly history bears this out, that when the United States starts to improve on technology, the rest of the world falls in line and everybody wants what we've got. So we can still be the most prosperous, most powerful nation on the planet. And in fact, it seems to me that since we are now starting to really come into problems when it comes to petroleum and when it comes to other countries getting a hold of these technologies and getting a hold of the oil reserves, that the only smart thing to do is to move into alternative technologies. And we can do it. We just need to choose to do it. And I also want to put out a challenge to the consumer, like me. We have to start making our desires known with our dollars, buying those technologies and those fuels which are earth-friendly. Once we start doing that, the oil companies and the car companies are going to do whatever they can to get our money. So we're going to get the technology that we want. But we have to decide. These companies are dependent upon us. We are not victims. We can choose our new future. I also know that if we do not reduce global emissions to zero, that we will not have a world left to fight over. It is my deep desire that our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren have at least the opportunity to experience what I've just come back from experiencing.